I am a New York-based artist living in Brooklyn. The majority of my work is engaged with power dynamics and power relationships. I'm interested in systems of control and what it means when a federal or a corporate institution controls the circulation of work or access for people. I approach these works from delving really deeply into these, often by intervening within those systems with my own body, subvert them, and by doing so to question how they might function otherwise in a more equitable situation. I was also frustrated during the pandemic about the government's approach to the economy. And meanwhile, I was also thinking a lot about politicians comparing quite easily how the economy was doing in relationship to death counts and sickness. And this collapse of those value systems really inspired the first iteration of the Tender Project, which was the public artwork tender, and it consisted of 120,000 2020 US pennies. Each of those pennies I engraved on the edges of the penny the phrase, "The body was already so fragile." And those were put in rolls and then distributed throughout bodegas in all 5 boroughs of New York City. The 120,000 penny count is equivalent to 1 stimulus check offered by the US government through the CARES Act. While I was making Tender, I was researching how cash is distributed throughout the United States. I wanted to follow that entire path from the mint to that moment when you go and buy your gum and water at the bodega. The trucks that were carrying these bags of money that the mint was producing, these bulk bags, felt to me very similarly about how bodies were being treated during the pandemic, which was also in these ubiquitous white trucks that were popping up all over New York and throughout the country. Bodegas became essential workplaces during the pandemic. They were mostly where New Yorkers got their basic supplies. Bodegas are in all different kinds of neighborhoods, and they're mainly run by an immigrant population that was getting those CARES Act checks, and people who were most being put in danger by being these faces out when everyone else was in. Thinking about all of that and these penny faces that talk about the country and in God we trust and everyone's equal, intervening on the edge of a penny was my intervention into kind of the public voice around value. Fresh cut flowers are actually dead. They enter the market not alive. That relationship of this kind of replaceable, inexpensive, readily consumed, fragile object in relationship to now where we are in the Great Resignation, and as these 2 years since the pandemic has begun, like what is essential, what's an essential good, what's an essential labor, and what does it mean that something or someone is replaceable?